Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Drive Home, where we ask 3 questions that help engage with our kids when we pick them up from school. And so let's get right into it. So the first question, what was something awesome that happened at school today, man?
Let me think. There's a lot that happened today. Something awesome is that, oh yes, I finally figured out how proofs work in math, because before it's like when you do a math problem, at least when you first start doing math, it's like, oh, you do it because this makes sense and this is how I did it. And then like the teachers are like, show your work, and like, because I need to see where you went to. If you went wrong, I could help you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now we basically have to explain why we do that. Like, what are you doing? 2 + 2 = 4. What are you doing there? Like, what is the
justification?
Yeah, like what is the property or postulate or theorem that helps you do that? And so now we not only do we have prove it and show work, but we have to basically uncover the reasons why that is. Like, kind of like in science, like, so you stick to the ground because of gravity.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff, where it's really annoying. And there's a lot of different stuff, but the thing is it's more freeform than normal. It's not like you plug stuff into an equation, or there's like 3 different main like theorems that you use. Now it's like every single thing has its own name, and a lot of times like you just, oh, here's a random thing that you would have never known unless we looked at this problem specifically, and this was from the packet night before, so you couldn't have solved this without me, but I still expected you to. Like, oh.
Driving and recording is hard. I don't recommend doing that. So, okay, go ahead.
But yeah, it was just like, I'm glad I finally got it, because that was something I was stuck on, because it was a lot more freeform than we had done before.
So now you understand at least how
the
process works.
They did it better. He explained it more in depth. So, and plus we've covered a lot of stuff now, to the point where I feel like it's like learning Spanish, where it's like at first you're like, I know like 3 words, but now I can kind of piece it together and use what I know to go off my own and say things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you feel more confident doing proofs? That's awesome.
Oh yeah. It's nice, because math is the hardest one I have.
Yeah, like I always have homework with him, so that's awesome. So question number 2, what did you learn today?
That's when people follow the formula of what they're told, and they choose not to even recognize like other ideas, a lot of times they can be wrong.
So like, give me an example.
That was just the base concept I broke it down to, but it was basically, so every Tuesday and Thursday I do a tutorial where I bring in like a sheet. The TRF is called a tutorial reflection form, where beforehand you fill it out with like, this is my point of confusion, where I didn't get it, and like all the stuff, and like each little box has like a little like out of 2 or out of 3 out of 1, and
like your level of confusion,
or no, like of how many points you get. Well, like you got like this many points out of this many for doing the work or whatever, and I always got full points except for when I stated my point of confusion, and I was like, I would say like, using the properties, how can I turn this into an equation I can use or something like that?
Yeah.
When I'm trying to be really beforehand, it was like, how can I do this? But then when the teacher was like, go in depth with it, use like a prepositional phrase like once, after, or you, or because, or something like that. Like 3, he gave 3.
Yeah.
And so like I'm doing it like I normally do, and I use like this stuff. I try to use a prepositional phrase, and every single time this dude marked me off a point. Like it's 2 points for a POC, but he kept marking me off 1 point, and I'm like, I keep going in further depth, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm doing what I need to do. And he's a senior, he's a student, but he comes and uses his like last period. You like can earn money to tutor. Basically just oversee the group.
That's cool.
But he sucks at it.
Oh.
Okay. Because I'm like, why am I getting marked off? I cannot find the reason. And so he gave me examples after, once, or because. And they're prepositional phrases, but because they weren't the specific ones he gave examples, he kept marking me off every single time.
So he didn't understand the proof concept. Yes, he only looked at the equation.
Basically, he's a real stickler for the rules wasn't exact. He's like, oh, I don't like them, but I'm sticking to them as hard as I can. It's like, what?
So even though I'm not justified, I'm still gonna do it because that's how I've done it.
Well, yeah. Well, he's not even looking at like.
Oh, man,
It's like,
how
this is a
dumb.
prepositional phrase. It's the exact same thing. It's just not the 3 examples he gave us.
Okay, that's a really interesting concept.
I was like,
dude.
oh my God, are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah.
I'm doing this right. You just can't see outside anything to try a little bit harder
So
to
that's
see that this is right.
I work in customer service, and we have a department called QA, which is quality assurance or quality analysis, and their entire job is to make sure that everybody is using the same formatting and responses, and they get a grade on it. And this is one of those things where, depending on who you got in the past to do your review, you got different scores. And so now we actually have a whole process called QA calibration, where they have to meet together and come to a consensus with